Welcome to the Daily Insider right here on Vegas Insider. I am Kevin Rogers and looking forward to today's show, Monday, November 8th, 2021, as we got plenty of NFL to discuss and obviously some big upsets in the NFL on Sunday with Jacksonville knocking off Buffalo, also Denver going into Dallas and handing the Cowboys their first ATS loss of the season in pretty impressive fashion. And some of the late games as well. Green Bay getting the backdoor cover in Kansas City without Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. The Chargers with a last-second win over the Eagles. Just a lot to go over from from yesterday's affairs, and also Bears and Steelers coming up tonight from Heinz Field. Dave Sharapan will join us coming up in just a few minutes, as he does every Monday here on the Daily Insider. But before we get to Dave, I want to say about BetMGM. They are the king of sports books. And if you are a new player, you bet $10 to win $200 if your team scores a touchdown. That's right. Bet on any NFL money line. And if your team scores a touchdown, you'll receive an additional $200 in free bets. New players only, must be 21 years or older, and also legal in the following states: Arizona, New Jersey, Indiana, Colorado, Tennessee, West Virginia, Iowa, Virginia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. only. Full terms and conditions apply. That is BetMGM. They are the king of sports books. All right. Time now to bring on our friend, Dave Sharapan. That's right. Big Monday show with Dave. He's got Pat the Patriot on his hat. Those were the bad old days of Patriots football, not like now, the good old days of Patriots football. But Dave, I want to begin week number 9, the trapezoid play of the day, the Jacksonville Jaguars. 16-point underdogs. They win outright against Buffalo, 9-6. Does anybody know anything about the NFL?
Nope. I mean, we've been saying it for years. It's the hardest market to beat. Pardon my my voice. I'm fighting it. I was coaching all weekend. I got to yell out every pitch call and everything else, and I coach like my hair's on fire. So I'll fight through it, to be here today. But no. Nobody knows anything. I mean, really, how hard is it? The teaser can't lose. The money line, just throw it at the bottom of the parlay, can't lose. The Bills aren't going to lose to Jacksonville. Can't happen. Won't happen. And it did happen. So, I mean, and there wasn't even a touchdown scored in the game. Like, the total, way under. This is just another example. Like, just when you think you got a handle on it, it's a week-to-week league. And, man, it's hard. It's so hard. Dogs rule the day again, Kevin. We've seen it now. The swings are what amazes me. I think that's the story. Like, I don't know. We talk about, like, I hear this closing line value and all this other stuff. Are the numbers that off? Where you have the thing skewed where it's 9 or 10 favorites or 9 or 10 dogs cover. Like, it's bizarre to me. It's one of the strangest years of the NFL, but at the same time, it's not, because it's the NFL.
Well, the other point, too, I wanted to make, moving on from this game where the Jags don't even score a touchdown, but yet they somehow beat Buffalo. And they've won 2 of 3 after a 20-game losing streak, so congratulations to them. But you talk about the closing line value, Dave, and the Arizona Cardinals. They were favored last week, and then Kyler Murray, news that he may not play. That line flipped. San Francisco favored. DeAndre Hopkins not playing, so arguably their 2 best players out. The 49ers, I'm sorry to say this, are complete trash at home. I think we've seen that at that new stadium. And Arizona, as 5.5-point dogs, they handle San Francisco 31-17. And Dave, but I had San Francisco +3. I had the closing line value. They got destroyed. It doesn't matter what you had them at, because they played terrible. And Arizona now pulled off the season sweep, and they bounced back from the Green Bay loss.
I think we learned a lot about both teams, but you can't say you didn't know what the lesson was before. You just said it. San Francisco's been terrible at home at that new stadium. But if you watch, they haven't been good on the road either. Who has been good, who maybe people rode and then had one game where they lost, but they were right there from winning with all of their best players, was at home against Green Bay. and you remember. People make this mistake all the time. They just remember what they saw last. So now, well, they won't have Murray. Oh, they won't have Hopkins. They can't win. So the line gets bet and moves and bet and moves. And at some point, if you really liked San Francisco, if you laid 3 or more, that's on you. Like, sometimes it's better to just, the best bets you make are the ones you don't make, and you miss the number. I always say, my saying is, you're late to the party. Let it go. I mean, you don't have to take the other side, but man, the guys that did got Arizona at a super discounted price, plus money on the money line, plus points, 4.5, 5 points. This thing closed. It told me a lot about Arizona. I mean, just personally, James Conner was done. Pittsburgh don't need him. He's gone. He's leading the NFL in touchdowns. He's running. His legs look pretty fresh. Pretty impressed with Arizona for their ability to next man up it. Colt McCoy is almost as old as me. He looked okay. Like, you can kind of game plan and come up with something. I'm impressed.
Now, one of the other late kickoffs yesterday, we talked about it all week, the Chiefs and the Packers. And Chiefs were a pick 'em, laying 1. The Aaron Rodgers news comes out, and then all of a sudden it balloons to 7. And Kansas City was in control of this game, Dave. They're up 13-0. You think you have the Chiefs. You're in good shape. Jordan Love's not playing great. And again, he's put in a bad spot, and he hasn't played before. I mean, we expect this whole Mike White thing. You come right in, you throw for 400 yards, even though against Kansas City's defense, that stinks too. But Green Bay still covered. After it's all said and done, the Packers still got the cover.
I mean, it's so funny because the hype for this game was going to be Super Bowl preview if it was Rodgers and Mahomes. And again, what are we watching when we watch Kansas City? We're not watching the Kansas City from last year or the year before. We're not. It isn't the same team. Like, something is just not right. So, yes, they're in control of the game, but they're one score away, and these spreads are getting harder, not easier. And there's one score is the difference, or 1 or 2 plays it comes down to. I don't know how Green Bay covered that game. I have no idea. Watching it in the book with a bunch of people, there was a lot of people with Kansas City, and there was a lot of audible groans when Green Bay scored, and it was like, this game's going to fall 6. And all I thought was, well, I guess Aaron Rodgers is worth 7 points because it went from 1 to 7 and it falls 6. So I guess the odds makers sometimes do get it right, and betting the NFL is hard.
I dug up this number on Sunday, Dave. The Chiefs now 1-10 against the spread. Their last 11 at Arrowhead, 0-5 ATS at home this season. I mean, that's amazing.
Wow. And that never was the case. They were, you want to talk about what is home field worth. That's one of those things that we keep talking about now. Kansas City used to have one of the best in the NFL home field advantages built into the number. It's gone. There's nothing there. They haven't, you just said it, 5 games. They haven't covered a home game, and we're in November. It's not going to go 0-8 though. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to go 0-8. That would be the biggest surprise of anything. So we got to keep an eye on that. And obviously, maybe you'll tweet it. I'll tweet it. Something we'll have to keep that somewhere in the back burner. Kansas City's got 3 games left at home. I'll tell you, just without knowing who they're playing, they're going to cover 2 of those 3 games.
Well, they have the Raiders and Broncos left. So those are 2 of the games. And they got the Raiders coming up this week in Vegas. So
I don't know. What did we make of this Raiders team? Is this the beginning of the end? I mean, is this like, well, they go and lose to the Giants, and like Carr throws the picks, and I mean, everybody's got the same number of wins in this division. And now the Raiders, who a week or 2 ago were the favorites based on the numbers and the odds to win a division, which again, I was very like, people, you can't bet the Raiders now to win the division. But now they're the 4th choice. Their odds are the same as Denver. This is a crazy division. Don't be surprised to see the Chiefs somehow get right back to the top of this division at some point between now and the end of the season.
Staying with the Raiders for a second, Dave. What a month this has been for this franchise. The John Gruden stuff, and then they win 2 straight. It felt like, okay, now he's gone. They beat up the Broncos. They beat up the Eagles. They have the bye. They have this unfortunate Henry Ruggs situation. Now, obviously, he's gone, and you got to deal with that. You got to go cross country. The Giants have played a little better. They have some confidence. It just seemed like a setup where it wasn't a good situation for them. I wouldn't have taken the Giants because I didn't think they could play well for a 3rd straight week. I was wrong on that. But for the Raiders, I guess it was a perfect recipe for them to just completely fall apart because of everything that's happened over the last month.
It's crazy, man. And it's weird living here now with the Raiders here because it's nonstop. It's in every news story. It's in constantly in the discussions, like even in the books or, with other people. So, and I mean, I've driven down that road, I don't know, 1,000 times. I can't believe that anybody could go that fast on that road. And to try to make sense of it as far as like how it affects the odds or how it affects that team or what's going on, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, it's a supremely unfortunate situation. And trying to explain it like, to the consig kids, I mean, I shrug my shoulders. I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain it. So trying to make heads or tails of it in this situation, no idea. They had every reason to kind of go backwards when the Gruden situation happened. They didn't. Yesterday, yes, couple picks, couple turnovers, and it caused the game to flip. We'll see now what's really going on in that building, in that organization. I heard this morning they're talking about signing Deshaun Jackson and bringing him in to kind of – I mean, this is what happens in this league, right? I mean, for whatever reason somebody's out, they got to go get somebody or somebody has to step up. I don't know if he's the answer, but, man, he can still run and be a deep threat. So maybe if they throw him in and give him, 6 plays to learn and just go catch the ball, maybe that'll do it. I don't know.
Now, staying in the AFC West, Dave, we talk about Jacksonville, the big upset, but the Denver Broncos, who I've been a little down on recently, I went into this game on Sunday and I said, how are they getting this many points? And the Teddy Bridgewater thing with him as a dog, he's unbelievable in that role. And the Broncos, as their largest underdog spot this year, was getting 1.5 in that Cleveland game with Mayfield out, with the running backs out. So Denver been favored like in every game this season. Now they go to Dallas. Dallas was, 7-0 ATS going in. Dak didn't play last week against Minnesota. And then this week they just get punched in the mouth by Denver. I'm not surprised Denver covered, but I'm surprised by this result, though. Them up 30-0, winning by 14.
I think everybody was surprised by this result. I mean, and you want to talk about the one game, the books always talk about the teasers and, why do we take teasers and all this stuff? This is why you take them, because if you don't get them with the Buffalo game, you get them with this one. This is the 0-0 on the roulette wheel, and everybody just sweeps all the chips. I mean, you don't see it coming, but kind of you do, because, I mean, Denver's defense is legit. I mean, they really are. So, again, in this league, if you can play defense, which it seems to be going away, and you're not allowed to hit anybody too hard, and you're not allowed to hit anybody high, you're not allowed to hit anybody low, and you can't cover too close because it's an interference call. But if you win the line of scrimmage, you can win football games. And Denver got a lead. They made Dallas one-dimensional. Zeke was out of the game. They couldn't run the ball anyway. I think you got a little bit of a blueprint on how to beat Dallas. Dallas was able to score, but if they get down and you play old school football, Denver trades their best defensive player. Dallas has Dak coming back. How in the world could you have seen this one coming? I mean, plus the points maybe, but money line, good luck betting the NFL.
Now, the last AFC West team I want to look at, Dave, can you explain something to me? What's this infatuation with the Philadelphia Eagles? We saw it with the Raiders a few weeks ago, with the Chargers, got down to a pick-em. Chargers closed laying 1.5. They get the last-second field goal to beat the Eagles. A back-and-forth game. I mean, Philadelphia had chances and whatever. But the point is that everyone's jumping on the Eagles. Like the Eagles, we have to bet them. And both those times we've seen that, they've lost. And then the time that the public's on Detroit last week, the Eagles beat them by like 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. So there's certain teams that this happens to every year where parallelograms or the rhombuses, again, I can't keep track of which one's which, but, they get on a team or to get on a team or two and they keep betting them. And the Eagles is the candidate. They're one of the teams this year that they're like, there's value on this team. There's value on this team. And then the week that there's not value, they don't bet them and the public bets against them and they cover. It's very hard to get a gauge on the Eagles as far as winning games. Like they're going through that process, I think, where they're going to win games. But until they do, they're the Chargers, like under Anthony Lynn, where they're in games, and then they're not. And something happens, one play, 2 plays, flip it, and they lose. Another week where the Chargers, 356 yards, I think, Herbert threw for. I'm still impressed with this team. They can win a couple different ways. They got to get better on defense, but they can score with anybody. Good luck trying to make heads or tails of the Eagles the rest of the way. They're gonna cause more angst and agita the rest of the way for bettors that keep taking them.
Now the AFC North, we'll get to the Steelers coming up in just a little bit. Their big game against the Bears. But in the AFC North, though, Cleveland wins in Cincinnati. Addition by subtraction. Odell is gone. And what do you think happens? The Browns win big as they beat up the Bengals. And look, I mean, they got the early pick 6 on Joe Burrow. And Cleveland they show up, and this is what they do, Dave.
This is exactly what they do. The AFC North is still one of the hardest divisions in football to get through and win. And again, week to week, we've seen it. And the Browns are a perfect example. They got all the talent in the world, especially offensively. I mean, on both sides of the ball, I would say their offensive line, top 3, defensive line, excellent. Skill positions. I mean, even OBJ's gone. They're right there. Chubb looks amazing. And Peoples-Jones talk about for the – I mean, like they have all the talent. It's about Baker. Baker looked pretty healthy yesterday. If you keep him upright and give him a pretty clean pocket, obviously you see what they can do. They can score so quick. They had like 2 or 3 like long plays to score. So impressed again with Cleveland, but again, pump the brakes a little bit because Baltimore's right there. Steelers can win tonight, be right there, and they're doing it the old school way with defense first. The Bengals, man, I love Joe Burrow, but that pick 6 changed the game. They go in there, it's a little bit different, and it comes back to hurt them. They scored, but then they couldn't keep scoring. So it's hard to figure.
The Titans –
What?
Okay, a couple of things on this one, Dave. Number one, that's now 8-0 against the spread, the last 8 Sunday night games with the underdog. So and the only one that's covered, the only favorite was the Rams in week 1 against the Bears ever since 8-0 ATS on the underdogs. Titans were 4-0 against the spread as a dog this year going into this game last night. No Derrick Henry. Rams are going to roll them. I mean, what was Stafford? Like, that was like Detroit Stafford. I don't know what that was last night.
I don't think he knows either. And it's so crazy, right? Like the game can turn so quickly. And he tries to avoid that safety, throws a pick, they score. Come back and throw a pick 6. And the game it's not done right there. But they have to answer and they don't. And then Tennessee, man, are they the best team in the NFL going downhill? You give them a 2-score difference in a game, and they don't even have Derrick Henry, and they still pound the rock. And then when you bring 8 guys up in the box, they throw that pass for another first down. They move the ball, and they continue to win games however you want to win them. You want us to win it this way? We can. Oh, we can't come back? We'll come back and win. I don't understand it. Like, as far as trying to make a number, it's so hard. And again, there's so many things that I miss about doing the job and being in the books. Trying to come up with the right number for the Tennessee Titans on the road is not one of them. This is so hard to do because you make the number this, and they cover. You make the number this, and they cover. Not only cover, they're winning the games. Adrian Peterson scored a touchdown yesterday, K-Raj. What is that? What are the odds of that, seeing him in a uniform, let alone scoring a touchdown? Impossible.
And everyone goes back to, well, the Titans lost to the Jets in overtime. Like, let's relax on that one. Even Buffalo losing to Jacksonville by 3. Let's not make it out to be. Dallas got blown out by Denver. But these other teams, they're losing by 3. They may not look great, but it's not like, Tennessee. Tennessee's had one bad performance. That was against Arizona in week 1. By the way, Dave, Arizona's 8-1.
Yeah, right. And that's so as you start to look back, I think that's a very positive thing to do. Like, everyone has a clunker. I mean, most of the time. There's been a couple teams in the past decade where, they have one, or it takes everything for the dog to actually beat them. But, man, everybody has a clunker. You're allowed to have one, and the clunker was to the 8-1 team. Tennessee's a really good football team.
Tonight, Heinz Field, Bears, Steelers, 2 teams that have been around for 1,000 years now. And let's see what happens. And now, Dave, I'm letting you know something you probably don't know already. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 0-7 ATS since last year in the favorite role, 5 outright losses, 0-3 ATS as a favorite, beat Cleveland last week as a dog. Now they're favored against Justin Fields and the Bears.
So we call the background here nighttime in Pittsburgh because it is nighttime as far as it looks, but we get nighttime in Pittsburgh tonight for the game. A couple weeks ago, Sunday night, home laying of 4.5 against Seattle. I said Seattle's going to cover. They almost won the game. Chicago's offense is probably the worst in the NFL. Steelers' defense is one of the top in the NFL. Their offense, though, they're an under team, Kevin. So I think under is the best play in the game. When I like the under, I always want to shade the dog. The correlated parlay in the book, it's a math problem. The total is under 40. It's very hard to lay 7 points in a game with the total under 40 if you like the under. So I'm leaning dog. I would take Chicago plus the points. A lot of people, know me. Yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh and I'm a Steeler fan, but I've been in the book long enough to know sometimes it ain't the right side. And I think the side is the Bears in a close game and an ugly watch. Last week was 15-10. How do you even get 15 in a game? I mean, they call it the scoregami thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm thinking this is an ugly game dominated by the defenses, old school. You said old franchises. Expect it again tonight. Under, low scoring, 17-13 Steelers win. I hope you didn't put it on them because if they win this game, they're right there for the division. Can't be losing at home to Chicago, but win by a field goal, maybe 4. We're good with that.
Now, Dave, the Steelers, regardless of what happens tonight, they're not losing to Detroit next week, are they?
Wow. I mean, I wasn't expecting that one. I mean, like, you got to come, you come there. You gave me the props with the Conquistadors and Amigos call on the Twitter, and then you hit me with one I didn't see coming. They better not be losing to Detroit. You can't be Detroit's first win at home, favored by 9. The number is 9. Again, we talk about finding value on teams. How do you not take Detroit plus 9? The total in the game, the first number I see is 43. Another math problem, Kevin, and another NFC North team plus the points against my Steelers. I would take that right now because if the Steelers look bad or, dare I say, lose this game, I said it low, so maybe people will maybe not hear me a little bit. But this number ain't going to be 9 tomorrow morning when we wake up if the Steelers win on a late field goal or in overtime. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, it's called the Charlie Batch Bowl, I guess, is what we'll make that.
Oh, excellent work.
You can do that one. That's the only one I can think of that'll be tied together.
Well, I'm sure they'll bring Bettis out for this, right?
Yeah.
A little – from Detroit. He'll probably come out, be the honorary captain, flip the coin for the game. I'm sure of it. But, yeah, we'll be talking about this game. But we got to get this one first. All
right, I got 2 more things to do and let you go and rest your voice. Number 1, okay, so Michigan State lost this past weekend. Purdue, how is Purdue not the best team in the Big Ten? They beat all the big teams, but somehow they're going to stub their toe again. Ohio State wasn't sharp. Penn State got a win at Maryland. Take what you can get, I guess. But the Big Ten, though, can you analyze right now what's going on in this conference? Because Ohio State's still the best team, but they didn't look very sharp.
Ohio State is the best team, and it's going to be Ohio State to play Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship. And as fate will probably have it, Wisconsin will muster up their best effort of the season and beat Ohio State. So no Big Ten team can go to the Final Four in the playoff. You just get so close. And yes, Purdue is probably the best team. It's unbelievable what they do if you give them that home game against a team that comes in, riding high like Michigan State. We all knew that Michigan State wasn't going to run the table, but I thought their loss was going to be, against Ohio State or against Penn State, and thought maybe they can get by. But then when you saw the line, I was like, Purdue's going to win this game. Like, you just know in the book. You can't make sense of the Big Ten. I just hope to get into the playoff, it's Ohio State. But we're going to have this problem again, because if Oregon doesn't lose, how in your right mind can you put Oregon behind Ohio State when they played head-to-head in Ohio State? Oregon wins, yet they're behind them because of the conference. The conference of the Big Ten. I don't understand the argument. It drives me nuts, this college football rankings thing. Every single week it comes out now, and it's good cause and good content for content guys. We ain't ever talked about it in a risk room, ever. You look at the odds from books, that's telling you who's going to get there, not what those rankings say.
It is a shame, because what's the point of having head-to-head if Oregon and Oregon went in there and they beat them convincingly? That wasn't a 3-point win.
No.
Now, what I want to ask you before I let you go, so tomorrow night, Dave, college basketball begins.
Oh, God.
Are you really disappointed you're not in the risk room with 115 games to break down?
My God, this is it's one of the hardest. I just got chills thinking about how hard this day is. And I was off for years on Monday and Tuesday. So, little industry secret, everyone in the book works on the weekends. You either have Monday, Tuesday off, or Tuesday, Wednesday off. And if you're not really a football guy, you have Wednesday, Thursday off. That's it. Everybody works Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So this Tuesday, all these games, everybody's schedule has to change. Over the weekend, you're trying to manage the football, and everybody's going, well, wait, Michigan State's playing Kansas. What's the numbers, this and that? And it's just chaos. So, no. Reason number 17,862 why I'm so blessed to be a content guy, a media guy now, and not a book guy, is the start of college basketball. As good as the books have been doing in NFL football, the NBA, of course, again, it's hard to figure out. Hockey is what it is. College football, we trade money back and forth. College basketball at the beginning, man, there's people that know these conferences and know these teams way better than the books. The numbers are Charmin soft. They're not soft. They're Charmin soft. You can find good betting opportunities. You just got to find the right things. Don't bet all the games. Find them right games. Like, Wright State, Murray State. Look for the added games, Kevin. The books are all putting them out now. Ain't nobody know nothing about them games except people betting them. They're a nightmare.
Because I'm looking down and I see the extra games where everyone now, like the Southern Conference, the MEAC, all of them, you got to fit. Hey, Dave, you better be on top of Delaware State and Maryland Eastern Shore when January hits. I don't want just saying the names. I get the shakes. I'm like, let me focus on I used to say it in the room. I got the NBA. They're like, you want to do the NBA? I'm like, yeah, because it's only 30 teams, 32 to whatever it is. It's easy. Please. I used to call the college basketball odds makers. They were like Picasso's, Michelangelo's, because they had to go so deep. And then on a night like Wednesday, you got all those games. They're over there looking at the screen. They're thinking of things that I don't even want to begin to try to, I'll watch the Duke game. I'll watch the Michigan State game. I'll help you with those. But those teams you just said, Delaware State, what is their nickname? Do you even know? I do. They're the Hornets, and I'll tell you why. I did 2 years of play-by-play for Florida A&M, so I've been to Delaware State.
Oh, so you know.
It's in Dover, Delaware.
There you go. See, the fact that you know the team name, the nickname, and the whole conference, your limits, sir, are lower. Just
your
so
limit is $5.
No, we'll give you 100 on the totals. We'll give you a nickel on the sides. That's all, though. If you want more, you got to ask, because we're only taking from you if someone else bet the other side. I'm just letting you know.
Well, this is the other thing too, Dave, that in college, think about it like this, just the math. The NBA is 30 teams. You have basically like 12 NBAs for college basketball, like 360 teams, like 12 NBAs. Like, how do you do it?
It's really a daunting task. And again, November starts out with a lot of, it's all out of conference stuff. It's all neutral sites. I mean, they're playing in Hawaii. They're playing in New York City. They played games on ships. I mean, you're talking about trying to make a number. There's a lot of guesswork done in this stuff, Kev. And I give people credit that bet it for real. And the totals are where it's at. Watch these totals move. I used to laugh and go, wait a second. We opened this thing 142. It's 155. How did it move 13 points? I mean, why is no one betting under? Used to be able to get the other side, move a number 2 points and maybe 4 points, and then somebody would buy back the other side. Let them play the middle. Now, man, they're just better at it. They're better at the totals and have been for years. So I used to say it all the time in the book, let's break even. Let's break even or even lose a little until conference play starts at New Year's Day. That's when at least the books, I felt like we had a shot. Until then, man, it's guys like you that know that conference. I'm going to ride you for a little while, and hopefully you're getting them right because I'm going in with you.
Dave Sharapan, you can find him on Twitter, Sportsbook Consigliere, Sports BKCONSIG. Dave, thanks again. Rest the voice, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Excellent work, K-Rod. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, there is Dave Sharapan, and always great work out of him, and always enjoy talking to him. Yeah, it's college basketball. Looking at the card for Tuesday night, you do have a couple big games: Kansas, Michigan State, Duke, Kentucky from Madison Square Garden, and college basketball has done a good job of showcasing those games right out of the gate. Because let's be honest, whoever loses those games, their season's not shot. This isn't college football, so they'll be okay. But just so many games, and the transfer portal, all these teams now with new players. It feels like the NBA signing free agents. And I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying that now you just have a lot of players on new teams. You don't know how long it's going to take for them to gel and how it's going to work out. So that'll be very interesting starting tomorrow night. Want to tell you about WynnBET. And at WynnBET, when you download the mobile sportsbook app on iOS or Android devices and you're a new patron, you can get a $1,000 risk-free first bet with a $20 minimum first deposit and eligible sports bet when you use the promo code VI bonus. That means if you lose your first wager, you get it back up to $1,000 as a free bet credit that you can use for another bet. The WynnBET promo code will expire soon, so make sure to grab it while you can. Must be 21 years or older and in eligible betting states: New Jersey, Colorado, Indiana, Virginia, Arizona, Tennessee, and Michigan. That is WynnBET. All right, we'll take a quick look at the NBA before we exit today. And we hit on that Steelers Bears game tonight in Pittsburgh. Steelers laying 7. And here's the action tonight in the NBA. Knicks and 76ers. That one is down to a pick'em tonight in Philadelphia. Joel Embiid, he is not going to play. We saw that last week where Embiid sat out against Portland, and it turned out the 76ers, as the dog, they still won outright over the Trailblazers. So the 76ers without Embiid, without Tobias Harris, still Ben Simmons is out. That's now a pick'em. New York lost last night at home to Cleveland. The Cavaliers have actually been one of the best ATS teams in the league now, 7-1 their last 8 games after they won in New York. The Nets and Bulls from Chicago, that's a pretty good matchup in the East. Bulls a 1.5-point favorite, total at 216. Chicago, they have lost a couple in a row to Philadelphia. Brooklyn's at 7-3. Brooklyn had a bit of a shaky start, but they're back on track now. Minnesota is at Memphis. The Grizzlies laying 6. The Timberwolves had a rocky homestand, losing to Denver and twice to the Clippers. They had a big lead against the Clippers the other night and lost. New Orleans is at Dallas. The Pelicans are 1-9, and they just can't get out of their own way right now. Zion Williamson hurt. Brandon Ingram was banged up. And Dallas laying 8.5 after they beat Boston on that Luka Doncic buzzer-beating 3 on Saturday. The Heat, they're 1.5-point favorite at Denver, and the Nuggets at 5-4. The Heat at 7-2. The Heat beat the Jazz on Saturday. Nuggets held up the Rockets. The Hawks, a 3.5-point dog at Golden State. The Warriors are 8-1 on the season. They've lost once, and that was at home to Memphis in overtime. Golden State played last night and beat Houston. So now with no rest, Atlanta blew a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter at Phoenix on Saturday night. The Hawks are 0-5 ATS on the road this season. Phoenix is at Sacramento. Suns at 5-3. DeAndre Ayton, he will not play tonight. The Kings at 5-5. They were playing well for a few games, and they lost last night to Indiana by 2. Hornets and the Lakers from Staples Center. Charlotte's gone backwards of late. This has been a bad road trip already, losing at Golden State, Sacramento, and they melted down against the Clippers last night. Now they got the Lakers. LeBron's still out. Anthony Davis, a question mark. Lakers 1.5-point favorite, and the Lakers at 5-5. It looks like they're throwing a rec team out there on a Thursday night when you see what they have when LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't playing. I mean, it's not a pretty sight for the Lakers right now. They need to get all their guys healthy. In the NHL, Panthers, they have not lost a regulation game yet this year. They are at the Rangers, and New York a short favorite. In that one, the Rangers lost their final 3 games of their recent road trip, including that meltdown at Edmonton a few nights ago and that crazy Connor McDavid goal. Well, that wasn't the game winner, but that was in that game. Sabres at the Capitals. And Buffalo, they had a 3-1 lead against Detroit Saturday. They lost in overtime. Washington, they have not played well. They're 5-2-4. Very deceiving record because they've lost 6 of 11 games. Kings and Maple Leafs, they wrap up the night in Toronto. LA's played a little better of late. Now they head out east. Toronto 7-4-1. And the Maple Leafs laying 250 tonight at home against the Kings. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. The deal, bet $10 to win $200 if your team scores a touchdown. Again, for new players only. Bet on any NFL money line, and if your team scores a touchdown, you'll receive an additional $200 in free bets. Again, for new players only, must be 21 years or older and eligible in the following states: Arizona, New Jersey, Indiana, Colorado, Tennessee, West Virginia, Iowa, Virginia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. only. Full terms and conditions apply. That is for BetMGM, and you know who they are? They're the king of sportsbooks. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for tuning in to this edition of the Daily Insider. My thanks to Dave Sharapan for joining us. And we'll be back with you tomorrow at noon to we'll talk NBA. Scott Pritchard will join us. And he's the NBA money leader right now in Vegas Insider. So we'll talk to him and also review the Bears-Steelers game. And there's 3 MAC games tomorrow in college football. Maction is back. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, best of luck with your bets.